Hi, my name is Stephen Pope, and I'm the Amazon guy, helping with everything from marketing, merchandising, and logistics on Amazon. In this video, I will be talking specifically about advertising. A lot of information to go over. Some of the stuff I'm going to show you on this video is industry, cutting edge, groundbreaking stuff. Like, you're not going to see this anywhere else because A, I made it, and B, nobody else applies these principles like I do. And I'm actually interested in that, and I don't know why more people haven't applied these principles. So you can find a full article where I break everything down with some screenshots on my website, myamazonguy.com/blog. And in this video, we're going to talk about campaign segmentation, keyword bidding strategies, and the difference between advertising types on Amazon. Sometimes when I set up advertising for a new client and I explain that we're going to advertise every product all the time, it's often seen as a shotgun approach. In reality, the approach to advertise every product all the time can be profitable, and it's not a shotgun approach if you segment your strategies properly. For example, every campaign structure or advertising structure for sponsored products on Amazon.com for Seller Central sellers should be segmented into 4 campaign types: auto, brand, competitor, and manual. And I will go into detail on each of these and define them accordingly. So first is auto. Auto campaigns for sponsored products is when you let Amazon choose the keywords. In this, it can be very discovery heavy. Often Amazon will choose the wrong keywords to advertise on. If you don't have any marketing knowledge and are setting up a campaign for your own account, if all you do is set up an auto campaign, you've at least got something present that will help you. And you can cap the budget and not do any research and still be profitable selling on Amazon. So at bare minimum, every account should have an auto campaign. The most important thing that you do, though, with an auto campaign is to negate your brand terms. Negating brand terms is important because if you don't negate them, then Amazon can advertise and target those brand terms. And if you're already getting traction for your brand on Amazon, those could be wasted advertising spending. The second type of, and by the way, once you set up an auto campaign, there really isn't a lot of structure needed. You're not entering keywords. You literally just click like 3 buttons and you're done. So super easy to do. The second type of campaign is a brand campaign. So that's when somebody is going to Amazon.com and they're typing in your brand name here and they find you. So if I was searching for Apple and I type in Apple, you can see all the products that are advertised on this, when in reality the Apple brand is right here. So you'll notice that people advertise on brand terms, and there's products that are all over the place for the Apple brand. That's why you have to advertise on your own brand term, because it's defensive in nature. You're not going to get any incremental sales by advertising on your own brand name. Now, one of the brands that I own is called Momstir, M-O-M-S-T-I-R. And nobody else is using that brand name, so you're seeing some of my glassware here. But it can be beneficial to advertise on my own brand name in case somebody else starts to encroach upon it. So it's defensive in nature. There's not going to be a lot of advertising spend for brand terms. It's going to be very, very low unless your brand is very strong and has lots of market dominance. The third campaign is called the competitor campaign. This is where I go onto Amazon and I find all of the competitors who are selling like items. Frequently, this is one of the most misunderstood campaigns because people don't think that you can successfully advertise and be profitable on competitor brands. In reality, you can. And It's very easy to do this by going into Amazon. So if you're a seller of apple slicers and you type in apple slicers, you can use tools to download all the brand names that come up for apple slicers. And you can see here, there's a brand called Savor Living, a brand called New Star Food Service. And you may want to put all of these as a prospective competitor brand campaign to get incremental sales on items you never would have sold otherwise. That's because if somebody was searching for one of these brand names, they weren't looking for your products, but you scalped them, if you will. So it's an offensive incremental campaign. And that's typically speaking, because Amazon is a brand, there's no brand affinity on Amazon for the most part, unless you're a luxury brand name like Apple. There often is not a lot of people going on to Amazon and searching out a brand name. So this one is typically the smallest campaign of the four, maybe bigger than your brand one, depending on the size of your own brand. I typically will put in 50 different brand names on my competitor campaign. When you ask a company owner who are the competitors for your brand, you'll typically get one or two names from them, but you won't get the 50 that we put in. And that's because there are many different types of sellers on Amazon. There's private labelers, there are wholesalers, retailers, manufacturers at all various different sizes. But in the Amazon ecosystem, you should target all of them. There's a quick hack. You can use various tools. One of my favorite is to use Jungle Scout. And when you click on Jungle Scout, you can download a report of all of these listings and then export it and then copy and paste the brand competitor list over into your campaign. So one of the fastest ways to build a competitor brand campaign. Finally, the fourth type of campaign is called the manual campaign. This is the most complex to set up, needs to be segmented at the category level, and all of those ad groups need to be highly customized with specifically chosen keywords that are all manually chosen. So you might have 100 different keywords on any particular ad segment for a manual campaign, and you might have an ad group for every single product on your account. So if you've got 10 products, 10 ad groups, 1,000 keywords done in research, this is by far the one that we are the most advanced in setting up, and that's why we're hired as consultants, is to come in and do this one, because it's super complex. You have to do a ton of research. You got to look at every competing type of keyword that could potentially be profitable. And you segment it out into your ad groups. So typically speaking, with an account of 100 or less items, my team will come in and set up these four campaigns, generally speaking around 4 to 6 hours of work. So if you're interested in getting that set up as a one-time project, my team can help you do that. We do ongoing support and maintenance though, and that's highly recommended, because after you set this up, you should look at it every 2 weeks. Minimum from a framework, if not every week, depending on your size. So if you're smaller, every 2 weeks. If you're bigger, every week. And you need to micromanage some of those keywords, especially going into Q4. Competitive nature of Q4, you're going to have higher bids and things you need to pay attention to. Certain categories are more complex and harder to advertise in. Beauty, topicals, technology, those are the hardest. On the easier end, generic home goods have lower bid costs. International markets such as Germany, Australia, United Kingdom have far less competitive nature, much easier to be profitable in advertising in those countries. My team, we have more than a dozen international clients we work with, and on staff we speak about 6 different languages. However, none of them are the European languages, and we still service successful campaigns. We set one up a couple weeks ago for a client that we spoke no German, no Spanish, no French, no Italian, and I think that's all of them actually. And we set all of those different marketplaces up, and immediately in the first week we were profitable. It is more important that you understand the techniques than the languages to do this internationally speaking. So if you're an international client and you're interested in services, we can help you on that front too. We use a bunch of different translation tools to make that happen. Also, we use the English words in those markets, and those are also profitable. So if you're selling in Germany, you should be doing both English and German for keywords. Keyword strategies. So this is a pivot to the next section of this conversation. There are three types of keyword matches. So there's broad match, phrase match, and exact match. So an example of a broad match, if I am advertising on apple slicers and I set it as a broad match, anybody who types in any iteration of apple slicers, such as red apple slicers, I would be advertising on that. If I did phrase match, then it would need to be specifically this phrase with anything. So red apple slices, if I did apple slicers as a phrase match, I would also get red apple slicers as a target. And then finally, exact match, if I were to do apple slicers, somebody would have to type in that exact phrase letter for letter to get exact match. When you do your advertising, you should set up all three of these keyword types. All three are important. If you don't know how to do, if this is your first time doing it and you're not hiring a consultant, just stick to broad match, you'll be just fine. But if you take the exact same keywords you did broad match and put them in as phrase and exact, you will get some interesting data. Typically speaking, exact match will be the most profitable over time. However, it has the least amount of impressions. So that's because the contents of the search term are different than your keyword in broad and phrase, but in exact they are precise. So if you get the wrong keyword or if you get a low impression keyword, your exact match will not target it and you'll lack impressions. So the keyword types, broad match, phrase, and exact, you should have all three implemented into your campaign and test. It's kind of like an ABC test, if you will. So if apple slicers is the keyword and you've got it broad, phrase, and exact, you may see different results. You may see a higher ad cost to spend on the broad match. You may see the most impressions on the broad match. You may see a lower cost of spend on the exact match, but almost no impressions, et cetera, et cetera. So it just depends on your overall goal. If you have a growth strategy, your target A cost to spend might be much higher, or if you're in a competitive category, it might be much higher. If you're in home and goods, you should target anywhere from 15 to 25%. If you're in beauty or technology, you might skirt by with 70 to 80% ad cost to spend. So you're losing money to make sales on Amazon just to compete in some instances. When in terms of types of ads, there are three types of ads on Amazon. So everything we've talked about so far is a sponsored product ad, and that's what this looks like. So these are one-to-one ads, and you'll see that there are 4 sponsored product ads. Depending on the search term and the competitive nature on it, you may only see 2 of these. Sometimes you'll see 4. They're always at the top. And then the second type is a headline ad. The difference between these two, this headline ad is one seller advertising on that whole real estate. And when you click it, it can do one of 2 things. It can load a storefront, or it can load a brand store page. So in this instance, they are loading kind of a half put together storefront. One of the storefronts I recently built was Two Hound Designs. And this, if you were to advertise a headline ad, could load a storefront like this. Storefronts are really, really important to your business. If you do not have one, get one. If you have a trademark, all you got to do is go to brandservices.amazon.com to file for a storefront. I have other videos that talk in great detail about storefronts, how to set them up, all the steps necessary, trademark explanation, etc. So check out those videos. I'll put those as a link in the video. We also set up storefronts professionally for sellers, $500 per storefront to set up. So headline ads go to your storefront. Ideally, they don't have to, but they ideally do. But you'll notice, you can click onto the product and go to the product page. You can click on the generic message and go to the storefront. In this instance, they didn't have one. That's headline ad. This is sponsored product ad. The third type of ad is going to be hard to trigger on the fly, and it's called a product display ad. And those will typically display somewhere on the product detail page. So that's not one. Let's see if we can find one. I'm not seeing one trigger here. They are only available to you if you were using what was formerly called AMS or Vendor Central. They're some of the worst performing advertisements, and I generally don't run them. It is worth testing. You do get lots of impressions, but you do need to create an actual graphic. To launch a sponsored product ad, it just uses the image you've already loaded and does not require any additional assets. For headline ads, you do need to write copy, but you don't need any additional photo assets. And they will let you set the copy for this headline right here. So Apple cores cutting slicer stainless steel, that's the copy that they have written. Everything else is just a title pull attribute, so it'll just pull your image and your title from your products. The logo image right here is also customizable. That is, I guess, the one graphic asset you will need for a headline ad, although you should also be building your storefront out if you want to be successful with headline ads. So that's a pretty good run through of all things advertising. So here is an account where you can kind of see how we broke out these 4 campaigns. So the brand one, again, you've got your brand terms. Only brands you sell should go in there. All your auto campaign should negate these brand terms so that you're not advertising on yourself, so you can segment these out. Super valuable to segment these out, because then your ad cost to spend, which is going to be lower on your brand and your competitor campaigns, won't be making your advertising look better than it is on some of your other campaign structure. So if you have any questions or need help with setting up advertising on Amazon, you can hire me as a consultant. I'm My Amazon Guy. You can email me, steven@myamazonguy.com. I run a boutique agency, 5 employees at the moment, growing very rapidly. We've launched more than 65 brands on Amazon. Worldwide, all Seller Central accounts. We also do Vendor Central as well. And we are happy to help you out with any questions. Post your questions in the comments section. You'll notice I typically respond very rapidly to any of my ongoing videos. Happy to engage in any small questions in the comments section. If you need some actual consulting, send me an email. We'll help you out on that front. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the videos and ask any questions in the comments section. Talk to you later.